My name is Daniel Levi. I am 52 years old. The event that changed my life happened on September 11th, 2001. That morning, I woke up as a respected Jewish religious leader, a father, and a man proud of his faith. Before the sun set, I became a father shaking with fear, unsure if my son was alive. That day, planes crashed into buildings in the United States. Many lives were lost. The world watched in shock. My 12-year-old son was visiting New York with a school group. When I heard the news, my heart stopped. I could not reach him for many hours. Every minute felt like a year. I was born into a strict Jewish family in Jerusalem. My father was a Torah teacher. My mother was a quiet, strong woman who believed in discipline and prayer. From childhood, I was trained to study the Torah deeply. I attended religious schools. I later studied at a respected yeshiva, where I earned recognition as a teacher of Jewish law. Education shaped me. Tradition shaped me. Community respected me. By the age of 35, I was leading prayers. People came to me for advice. They trusted my knowledge of Scripture. I wore my black coat and cap with pride. My beard was a sign of devotion. My daily life was simple but strict. Morning prayers, study, counseling families, leading Sabbath services. My home was peaceful. My wife, Miriam, was educated and kind. She studied literature at university before choosing to focus on raising our children. We believed in structure, discipline, and honor. Our children attended Jewish schools. We guarded what they watched, what they read, and who they spent time with. Our identity was clear. We were Jewish. We were proud. We were firm in our faith. On September 11th, everything shook. When the news reached me, a member of our synagogue rushed into my study. He told me planes had struck the World Trade Center. He showed me images on a small television in the office. Smoke filled the sky. People were running. I felt cold. I tried calling my son's teacher. The line would not connect. I tried again and again. My hands trembled. My wife sat on the floor holding the phone, crying silently. Members of my congregation gathered outside my home. Some prayed with us. Some whispered about judgment and prophecy. Their words did not comfort me. My mind was only on my son. For hours, there was silence. That silence was torture. Late in the evening, the school contacted us. They told me my son was safe. They revealed that his group had been delayed that morning and never reached the towers. I fell to my knees. Relief flooded my body, but something else entered my heart that night. Questions. In the days that followed, people congratulated me. They said it was luck. Some said it was coincidence. Others said God had protected my son because of my faithfulness. But inside me, a quiet struggle began. I kept thinking about the families who did not receive good news. I visited homes in my community where mothers wept over lost relatives. I saw fathers sitting in silence, staring at walls. One evening, a distant relative visited me. He was different from the rest of us. He had once left Judaism and become a Christian. We rarely spoke to him. He told me he had been praying for my son that morning. He showed me deep compassion, not pride. His calmness disturbed me. In our community, leaving Judaism is seen as betrayal. Converts are often rejected. Families sometimes sit shiva, mourning them as if they are dead. I had taught this tradition myself. Yet here was a man we had rejected, showing me kindness without anger. That night, I could not sleep. The days after the tragedy were not peaceful for me. I lived inside my thoughts. People came to my house because I was a religious leader. They told me the disaster was a sign of divine anger. Some of them spoke softly, but their eyes were full of fear. They told me God was watching our community. But inside my heart, something was growing like a seed I did not plant. I began remembering the man who left our faith and followed Jesus. He showed me kindness without judging my questions. He told me that fear should not be the voice guiding my soul. He revealed to me that love is stronger than anger. I started reading religious texts late at night. I compared teachings carefully in my study room while my family slept. I felt ashamed because I was afraid of what my community would think. The persecution began slowly. At first, people stopped visiting my house. I remember walking to the synagogue one morning. The air was cold. The street looked the same, but people behaved differently toward me. An elder man who used to sit beside me during prayer did not sit near me again. He bowed his head and walked past me. He told others that I was spending too much time with strange ideas. Some parents removed their children from my teaching class. They did not speak loudly, they only said they were busy. But I understood the message. They were afraid of being connected to me. One evening, I was called to a meeting of community leaders. I sat in a small wooden room. The light was yellow and weak. I felt the eyes of the men watching me silently. One of them told me he heard that I was studying outside teachings. He told me I was walking toward spiritual danger. He revealed to me that some families believed I was becoming a shame to our people. He spoke slowly, like someone choosing stones to throw carefully. He told me my position as a priest might be removed if I continued my search. I felt my chest tighten. I was not angry, I was afraid, because I knew what losing my position meant. After the meeting, persecution became clearer. Children in the neighborhood sometimes pointed at me when I walked alone. I heard whispers behind me. Some people said I was bringing confusion into our community. One afternoon, while walking home, a group of young boys followed me at a distance. They shouted that I was betraying our Father's faith. I did not answer them. I kept walking slowly. My heart was heavy. At home, my wife noticed my silence. She showed me kindness by cooking my favorite food, but I could see worry in her eyes. She told me she felt something was changing around us. I told her I was only searching for truth for my heart. She did not speak for a long time. The hardest persecution was not shouting, it was loneliness. Some friends stopped greeting me. When I entered prayer gatherings, people moved slightly away from my seat. Not everyone did this, but I felt it like small stones falling slowly on my spirit. Sometimes at night, I sat outside my house and listened to the wind. I wondered if searching for spiritual truth could destroy a man's community. I thought about my son. I was thankful he was safe after the disaster, but I was also afraid that my inner struggle might bring pain to my family. The man who once left our faith visited me again. He told me gently that searching for God should not feel like walking inside darkness alone. He showed me a small book that spoke about hope and forgiveness. He said he prayed for my peace. I did not decide anything that night, but deep inside me, fear and curiosity were fighting. I was a priest, yet my heart was becoming restless, and I knew that the storm around me was not finished. The next chapter would change my life forever. The struggle inside me grew stronger. I spent more time alone in my study room. At night, I read different scriptures slowly because I wanted to understand truth, not win arguments. I felt tired of fear. I remembered the man who once left our faith. He told me that he found peace after choosing a different path. He revealed to me that he also suffered rejection from his relatives. His words stayed inside my mind like a quiet echo. I did not rush my decision, but something inside me was changing. One evening, while sitting near my window, I felt a deep sadness. I thought about the people who avoided me. I thought about my children growing up in a community that might see their father as a stranger. I asked God silently to show me truth. I did not hear a loud sound, but I felt peace inside my heart, like someone placing a warm hand on my chest. It was not fear, it was calmness. I believed God was listening to my pain. The persecution became stronger after people heard I was reading outside teachings. Some community members stopped inviting my family to gatherings. My wife told me she heard neighbors discussing me quietly. She revealed that some parents were warning their children not to follow my ideas. One afternoon, a man who once respected me came to my house. He spoke respectfully, but his message was heavy. He told me many people were afraid that I would influence young people away from traditional teaching. He showed me sadness in his eyes, not anger. He told me the community might remove my authority if I continued. I felt like a tree whose roots were being slowly loosened from the soil. The hardest moment happened inside my own home. My wife sat beside me one night while our children were sleeping. She told me she was afraid of losing our social position. She revealed to me that people were starting to talk about our family. She showed me tears in her eyes and said she would follow my decision, but she was afraid of the future. I felt the weight of responsibility. I was not only searching for truth for myself, I was carrying the future of my family. The night that changed everything came quietly. I was alone in my study. The house was silent. I prayed again, asking God to guide me. Inside my heart, I felt a strong conviction that I should follow the path that gave me peace. I knew persecution might become worse. I knew people might reject me completely. But the fear inside me was slowly losing strength. I told my wife later that I felt I was being called to walk a new spiritual path. I did not force her. I told her I was ready to face whatever came. She did not answer immediately. She only held my hand. Soon after, news spread in the community that I was seriously considering leaving the tradition I grew up in. Some people avoided speaking my name. Children who once greeted me stopped doing so. I felt like I was standing in a place where two worlds were pulling my heart. One world was my past. The other world was a future I could not clearly see. But deep inside me, I believed that truth should not be afraid of questions. And I knew the next step would break many relationships around me. Yet my heart had already started walking forward. The storm was becoming closer, and I was no longer certain where my life would lead. My name is Daniel Levi, and this was the season I lost many things but found peace in my heart. The morning I made my final decision was quiet. The sun was shining weakly through my window. I walked slowly inside my house because my heart felt heavy. I told my wife that I could no longer continue living in fear of searching for spiritual truth. She did not shout, she did not argue, she only sat on the chair and stayed silent for a long time. Later, she told me she was afraid because our community might reject us completely. She showed me tears slowly falling from her eyes. The persecution became stronger after news spread that I had chosen a new spiritual path. Some people stopped greeting me completely. When I walked to the marketplace, I felt eyes following me from a distance. A shopkeeper who once called me Rabbi lowered his head when I entered his store. He served me quietly and avoided conversation. Some children were told not to play near my home. I heard one mother telling her child that my family was dangerous to follow. It hurt me deeply because I loved children. One afternoon, I went to the synagogue for the last time. I sat quietly at the back. The air felt heavy like a storm waiting inside the building. I felt people moving slightly away from me. A senior member approached me slowly. He spoke respectfully, but his message was painful. He told me that the community leadership would remove my teaching authority if I publicly left the tradition. He revealed to me that some families were already discussing how to distance themselves from my influence. I felt sadness inside my chest. Not anger, just deep sadness. The hardest persecution was inside my family relationships. Some relatives stopped visiting our home. During family gatherings, conversation became small and careful. I saw my children confused because friends stopped visiting them. Sometimes when I walked with my younger son in the street, I noticed people whispering about me. One day, a group of young men followed me at a distance and shouted that I was betraying our ancestors. I did not answer them. I kept walking slowly, holding my son's hand. The man who left our faith visited me again. He told me he knew I was suffering rejection. He revealed to me that following truth sometimes means walking alone for a time. He showed me a small book and said he prayed that I would find peace. I did not rush my final belief, but my heart was already convinced. The day I officially announced my new faith was very emotional. Some people cried. Some people avoided looking at me. I felt like I was standing between two worlds. One world was my past, where I was respected. The other world was a future where I might be rejected. I was afraid, but peace was stronger than fear. I told my family that I was ready to face whatever came. After my decision, persecution became quieter but colder. People did not shout at me, they simply avoided me. Loneliness became my companion. Some nights I sat outside my house looking at the stars and praying for those who rejected me. I did not hate them, I understood that fear can make people react harshly. I want Christians around the world to remember those who suffer because of their faith. Many people are still rejected, mocked, or separated from their families because they believe in Jesus. Please pray for them. Also, if you feel far from God because of sin, know that God still loves you.